Hey, mamas. Welcome to another episode of Mom Talk Live. I'm super excited to sit down and chat with my mama friends tonight. Tonight's topic, we're going to be talking about motherhood and divorce. And so, if you are in the situation, you've been through the situation, or you know someone who's currently in or about to go through the situation, it's not really talked about a lot, right? And so, we want to be super candid and transparent tonight and have this particular conversation. And so I've brought some mama friends on who's going to sit down and chat with me. And again, very candid. So go ahead and tag that mama friend. Go ahead and share this particular show. Again, our tonight's topic is motherhood and divorce, and we'll be back right after this. Welcome, ladies. How are y'all tonight?
Doing all right. How are you?
I am good. And then Danae, because this is super transparent, right? So I seen your message that you don't see it live. Do you see it live now? We could go ahead and share it or
I still do not see it. Because I want to
we
make sure
can't
that
hear
I'm
you.
sharing it to my people also. Now I do.
I don't know if it's me, but I'm having a little trouble hearing you.
I don't know why I can't hear y'all. Can y'all hear me?
I can hear you.
You can hear me, but I can't.
Uh-huh.
It's probably my AirPods. Give me 1 second. See, I just was talking about this technology and what it does. Let's
All
just
the
go ahead and
time.
take these out.
But
Okay,
yeah,
ladies.
now I can see it.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So tonight our topic is going to be about motherhood and divorce, and I'm gonna let you all do your own introductions. I do want to say that I just recently met Dr. Agina, and I had the opportunity to sit down and chat with her on her podcast. So you can tell us a little bit about that. So excited to have you tonight. And then Danae, oh my God, we've known each other for a while now. She's one of the Mom Squad members. She's also a family law attorney, so she will introduce herself as well. And then we're going to jump into this topic. So, Dr. Gina, I'll let you go first, and then Danae, you can jump in right after. Yeah, we can't hear you.
I'm going to try and leave and come back in because I can't understand you. Okay.
Okay. All right. Go ahead, Danae.
Okay, so then I'll go. I am Danae Matthews. I am the owner of the Dunn Matthews Law Firm, which is a boutique family law firm in Metro Atlanta. And we help people with divorces, custody, legitimations, child support, all those domestic things that we kind of all hear about and know about. But rather than approaching them in a negative way or a stressful way and all the cattiness that you generally might hear about in a family law case, we try to approach things from more of a collaborative way. More of a faith-based way where we're kind of dealing with our clients' mental health and making sure that that's intact so that when we're tackling things that kind of, mean the world to you that you've been dealing with for years, a relationship that you've been in, or struggling with your children and co-parenting, that you're able to kind of like deal with those from a healthy space. So I'm Danae Matthews, and that's what I do.
Yes, so I love it. So I'm excited to I don't know if excitement is the right word. I guess I am. Okay, so let me give some preference to this. Of course, there's not anything that we want, like we're not promoting it, but it's life and it does happen, right? And so one of the things I was telling Dr. Gina when we were talking backstage is that I don't feel like enough people talk about these type of subjects. Because if I'm going through it, right, and it's just like I can't avoid it, I'm going through it. How do I feel supported? How do I like get the help to navigate it, because it's not only difficult for me, I'm sure that it's difficult for the other party involved, and then especially the children. And so again, I am excited that we can provide some type of hope, structure, tips, whatever, being relatable, letting parents know that they're not the only ones who may have went through this or are currently going through this. So I guess I am excited to be able to share tonight. So Dr. Gina, you're back, and I'll let you go
I'm
ahead and
back.
introduce yourself.
Okay, thank you so much. Technology is something because I could not
Yes.
understand a word you were saying.
Yeah.
But I am Dr. Regina Muhammad. I am from Chicago, and I am a divorced mom of three teenagers. I have a set of twins who are 17, will be 18 in a few months, and my youngest is 15. And I have been divorced now for almost 9 years. It'll be 9 years in November. And like we were discussing, and like you mentioned, I am certainly not one who is pro divorce, but I do feel that if you are in a situation that is just not healthy for yourself or your children, there is no point in remaining in a marriage for the sake of the children, because I believe in healthy relationships, having, great communication. And I believe as parents, we have to be an example for our children. So I always wanted my children to see what, a positive relationship or marriage is like.
Okay, so let's just dive right into it. So tell me, as it relates to your experience personally, and then Danae maybe sharing some experience you've had with some of your previous clients. Like, I'm trying to figure out how to frame this. I'm sure that the kids are thought of a lot, but what portion? Because one of the things you just mentioned was you don't believe that you should stay in it for the kids because
Mm-hmm.
if it's unhealthy, it's unhealthy. So at what point or how much do you consider staying for the children? Or maybe walk us through like maybe some of what your experience was like.
Sure. So I was married for a total of 11 years. And I have to be perfectly honest with you, year two, which is when I had my twins, I knew that we should not remain in marriage.
Oh
But at
wow.
this point, I'm pregnant with twins. I certainly didn't want my children to grow up in a single parent household. My parents, were still married. My older brother married. In my family, we believe in marriage and that you're supposed to stay and stick it out. So I stayed in the marriage 9 years longer
Wow.
because of my children, and then in between that time had another child. So I think that my children were top of mind when I was thinking about staying. Um, but it was actually, and I've shared this story before, it wasn't until my daughter, who was 8, I was in the bathroom crying, had my children getting ready to prepare for them to go to school. And she told me, she said, I don't want to be a statistic, but if
Mm,
divorcing daddy means that you're going to stop crying and stop being sad,
mm,
then by all means. So I took advice from my 8-year-old daughter, because the whole time I'm trying to stay in this marriage because of the children, and because, you hear, my parents were like, you need to stay there. They need to grow up with a two-parent in a two-parent
mhm,
household.
mhm.
So they really were my priority. But if they see their parents constantly bickering, not seeing eye to eye, not doing things together as a cohesive family and a cohesive unit, then what message am I sending? What
Right.
message are we sending to them? Because
Mhm.
certainly they're looking at us as an example. So are they then going to think that it's normal to, be in a marriage where you have two people who don't see
Yeah.
eye to eye just on simple things? Like, that's not how I wanted them to grow up. And I don't want them to replicate that in their own relationships.
Wow. You said a mouthful. That was wow.
Oh,
And I can't
mouthful.
believe your baby, 8 years old.
8 years old.
Mhm.
And there were things that, when we talk about it, that they knew. See, here's the thing. I think as adults, we think that we are keeping things from our children, but they are more perceptive than we think. And my best friend, who had gone through a divorce, said to me, the younger they are, and I didn't believe it at the time, but she said, the younger they are, if you're going through a divorce, the better, per se, because there's time for adjustment, right?
Mhm.
For them to, but I took some really key steps. I felt like I put my kids through counseling. We went through counseling. So I was trying to be proactive as we were going through that stage. But there were things that my children remembered just about growing up in the household with their dad that I didn't think that they knew. And I'm sure he didn't think that they knew it either. So, I'm sure that was probably traumatic for them if they could still talk about it at 17 or 18. And I don't want to, give off the idea there was no abuse or anything in the home. It was just this constant
Yeah.
bickering and arguing over little things where we just did not get along. But there were also some other issues as well. So,
Gotcha. Thank you for sharing. I'm gonna let you jump in there, Danae.
No, I that was a mouthful, and I wholeheartedly agree. I am not divorced. Marriage is literally a daily trial and tribulation at times, right? A
yeah.
daily like learning thing, all of that. But I encounter so many people on a day-to-day basis who kind of are in that same mode as Dr. Muhammad mentioned, in that their kids are the ones who kind of express to them these concerns. And sometimes though we don't have that relationship with our kids, but if we pay attention to like some of the things that they say, or their moods changing and things of that nature, or they're taking on that bickering attitude with their siblings, like they're imitating the things that they are seeing you do. And if we just pay attention to those things, we'll realize just how much of a harm continuing to remain in that type of environment, whether it's a marriage or just a relationship, how much of a harm it's doing to them. And so many people, literally, I'm talking to them every day, and the deeper and deeper we get into their situation, we realize that really it was a harm to their children for them to continue to remain. And you have to think about the fact that kids are human beings. I think for a lot of us, who have young kids right now, we grew up in a generation where like it was, you're the child, I'm the parent, you listen to what I say, children are to be seen, not heard, whatever, all those things. And I think we have to come to a place where we realize like they're human beings. So they have feelings, they have thoughts, they hear things that affect who they are going to be in the long run. And it may not be in your best interest to stay, and you have to grow too. So you have to think about yourself and who you're going to be. We talk about like motherhood, like we can't take care of them and whatnot without taking care of ourselves. And so if we're kind of like just taken through the ringer or just not feeling our best self because of this relationship, like we obviously can't be the best mother to them that we can be either. So I constantly preach that. That was the whole whole word right there.
So that was really good, because one of the things you said, if you see your kids kind of mimicking some of the things that, and I honestly, because I haven't been in a situation before, all the things that you all are saying, like I didn't even think about these things. Now I can't say I done thrown the word around a couple times. I've been married for almost 16 years, and we like, okay, we got to stop saying the D word. Stop saying the D word, okay? Like, but let me ask you this. One of the questions, this is to either one of you. What do you feel like is healthy? Like, is it healthy to have an argument in front of the kids at all? Like, because okay, so I grew up in a certain type of household where there was like arguments and things of that nature going on, right? And to me, it wasn't healthy. And so then when I went into parenting, my thing was, oh, we got to go behind closed doors. But then sometimes I feel like that's not realistic. Like, our kids need to be able to see us have disagreements. So what do you think? Like, what's too far or what's too healthy? Or even Dr. Gina, when it came to your situation where it was just like, okay, enough is enough. Like, let's talk about that a little bit.
Sure. I mean, I think it's okay for children to see their parents have disagreements, but also work through those disagreements. You can have a healthy disagreement, you know what I mean? But when it gets to the name calling or it gets to physical altercations or things of that nature, then absolutely not. I mean, and there are some households where there is that constant arguing and bickering, and that they resolve their issues in that way. But I don't view that as healthy. I think children need to see that it's okay to disagree, but then how do you work to a solution, or how do you guys come to a common ground? And that's all about communication, because it's unrealistic to think that all marriages are perfect and your parents aren't going to ever disagree. I think you do your children a disservice when you put on this facade as if, oh, we're just so perfect. We don't have any disagreements. We agree on everything, because they're going to take that, potentially carry that into a relationship that they may have. And that's a false sense of reality, in my opinion.
And they may not realize the troubled relationship that they're currently in because they don't know
Mhm.
how to address conflict. And
Yeah.
even with
Yeah.
their friends, right? Like if I never see a healthy argument or even a bad one, but they end up seeing apologies being made and people really like connecting again and things of that nature, they really don't even know how to approach it with friends or anybody for that matter. So I think you
True.
have to pick and choose what type of conversations you have. I know me and my husband try our best to not have certain conversations, and so we like created this little signal that we do if the conversation is going a little bit too left, or maybe this
Mhm.
isn't the right kind of conversation to have at this moment in this place and time. Let me give you this signal so that we can migrate over to another time or another room or what have you. But I think just having those types of things in place creates or shows them that there's multiple ways to have a conversation
And address
Yeah.
conflict, like you said. So
yeah
I love that. I love that. So if you are watching, thank you so much for watching live with us. Please drop any questions or comments that you may have on tonight's topic. We're talking about motherhood and divorce. And so I want to get into like some tips and some strategies for moms to be able to take away, because again, none of us on here, we're not pro divorce. We just want to take a moment to let the mom know that's listening or watching that we see you. We have been you, and that we're here to support you, right? And so that you're not alone. And so before we jump into like some tips and strategies and things that they can take away, let's talk about real quick some of the challenges. Like, what were some of the challenges? I know Dr. Gina, you talked about some where it was just like, okay, enough is enough, like your child came to you. But what about the
Mm-hmm.
child who may not be open enough to come to the parent, or the parent who's just like, I really feel like I'm going to break my kid's heart? What are some of the
Mm-hmm.
challenges that were faced that are kind of like red signs, or just
Mm-hmm.
in general that you can speak to be relatable to some of the moms who may be going through similar situations?
Yeah. So I'll tell you from my experience, one challenge that we experienced, there wasn't a clean break, so to speak, after our divorce. So when we got a divorce, my ex-husband refused to move from our home, and I stayed there. He wouldn't leave. We were in separate parts of the house, and I did that for an entire year.
Oh,
And
wow.
wow
in this day and age, just with the economy, things of that nature, like there are some people who agree to live in that type of situation. That was not something that I chose to do. He refused, and I refused to uproot my children from their school district. So I had to kind of plan differently. And then when it was time for me to move, and I announced that I was moving, he said, "Oh no, you can have the house. I don't want it." I'm like, "No, it doesn't work that way." So I moved out. But I think that that caused some confusion for our children,
Yeah.
because yes, we told them that we're divorced, but we're still living in the same household.
Yeah.
So you're
and
sending a
probably more
mixed,
conflict, I would
more
think.
conflict,
And
because
it wasn't in
now
the divorce decree. Like the judge didn't tell y'all that.
we only have how many minutes for this show?
Oh,
It's
okay. Because I'm like sitting over here confused. Like, how does that work? Okay.
it's in
Okay.
my book though.
Okay.
I did write about it, but no,
Oh,
it
man.
was just an interesting dynamic. I'll leave it at that because it's just too much. But no, it was not. I will say this, fortunately for me, there were things in place that at the time, when we got married, we didn't merge anything together. I had already owned my home before we got married. And during our marriage, we did move into another home. And, honestly, I will probably say hindsight is 2020. It was a little bit of a strategy on my end, so to speak. I had already purchased a home. He had never purchased a home, so he was a first time home buyer. And That was one of the reasons why that was not in the divorce decree, but there were some other issues with that. But um, I was able to just walk away. We didn't have to fight over assets because we didn't have anything together. And though that bothered me throughout the marriage, because from my perspective, what I saw with my parents, we worked together to build
Yeah.
together. My
Yeah.
ex-husband always wanted to function as an individual. So for me, I'm thinking, why are we married? I don't need a roommate. I need a partner. And
Right.
so that sort of made it easy for me to be able to make the break that I needed to when I was prepared to do so. I think sometimes we, just like we plan our wedding day, sometimes
Mm-hmm.
we're in situations where we can't necessarily plan the divorce. A divorce can break a person financially.
Mm-hmm.
So I would definitely say you have to have some type of plan in place and work it to the way that it's going to help you so that you are not in a situation where you can't leave or you can't make a clean break, so to speak.
Yeah. And I
Gotcha.
tell people that all the time. Like when we're making decisions throughout the course of the process, it's not just about like, well, I deserve this, or I'm definitely entitled to this, or this person did X, Y, and Z. And so I want this or I need this. Sometimes you have to think about, you have to weigh those cost benefit analysis. And I don't mean just like the cost of the divorce itself, but just like the cost of your mental state, the cost of how much
Mm-hmm.
longer is this going to take, and continue to like halt my life. Am I being able to move on and, start investing in the things I want to invest in and spend my time on? I think a lot of that goes into, your thought processes when you're going through that, because it can be mentally draining, no
Mm-hmm.
matter how easy your attorney makes it, because I try to make it as easy as possible. I'm not a conflict or adversarial or bulldog type of attorney. I don't think that benefits anybody, quite
Mm-hmm.
honestly. And because it can be mentally draining, you really have to think more forward thinking and where you want to be and how quickly you want to get there, and not think about all of the animosity and anger and fear that you have, and just plan and put your
Mm-hmm.
actions forward and move, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, you both shared a
Yeah.
mouthful. So thank you so much. We're going to take a quick break. And then when we come back, I want to talk about some triumphs on the other side of these challenges through divorce. And then I want to talk about some tips and some strategies that we can give moms who are walking away from today's episode. So we'll be back right after this. Momscape 2022. I know my team has to be excited as well. Look, y'all, we have been in a hotel room hosting our events for the last 2 years, resetting the room multiple times during the weekend to accommodate our moms. We're not going to have to do any of that in this new, beautiful conference center. Super excited. The space is super dope. It's going to take place in Atlanta, Georgia, in this beautiful conference center. There has been a multi-million-dollar renovation just completed. There's a restaurant on site. There's an indoor pool. There's an outdoor pool. There's a fitness center. The conference center is over 30,000 square feet. Now, we are not going to take up all of that space. Just not quite yet. Soon, but not yet. But we will need a lot of that space to be able to serve our moms in this ultimate escape. This is where our luxury accommodations for our moms from all over the world is going to take place as well. Look, Momscape was designed to provide a place for moms all over the world to run away to so that they can learn, they can level up with our life-changing workshops. They can find a peace of mind. They can meet new moms and have fun. Momscape is all about the fun. We're going to have a pool party. We got opening sessions. We got dynamic workshops. We have some dynamic speakers lined up. We have a vendor fair. Listen, at our vendor fair, you're not just going to be able to buy and purchase products. We're going to have resource vendors there too that is going to help you level up in your life, as well as help your kids level up as well. We have a 3-part formal that's going to include a red carpet, a formal dinner, a 90s after party. Y'all not going to be able to get me off the dance floor. We also have some special guests lined up to be with us as well. Can't forget about our Mom Talk Live as we close it out on Sunday. I am so excited. You do not want to miss this amazing 3-day event. VIP and regular admission tickets do go on sale February 6th, but be the first to know by going online right now, clicking the link, and signing the interest list. Do that today. Grab your mama friends, and I will see you in Momscape 2022. All roads lead to June 10th and through the 12th, 2022. Momscape 2022. You have to be there. So I'm super, super excited about Momscape 2022. If you look, tickets are selling. If you have not gotten your tickets, we have a limited amount of early bird tickets still available. They'll probably end up selling out through this weekend. I'm not sure. I hope they do, because I want y'all to come. And so it is June 10th through the 12th. You can get a general admission ticket or a VIP ticket. All the information is on the website. It's going to be right outside of Atlanta, Georgia, in Peachtree City. Listen, y'all. When I tell y'all, like, seriously, we've been in a hotel room and how excited I am that we're going to actually be in a whole conference center, like, this is the year of the level up. We are going to level up. We have some dynamic speakers, some life-changing workshops, a whole bunch of fun activities. We're having a pool party, red carpet, formal gala, 90s at the party, all of that you heard in the video. We're going to have that, and it's going to be awesome. And so you need to escape. So there's no doubt in my mind, you need the escape. So what I need you to do is make sure you go this weekend and book your early bird ticket. You can either pay in full, or we do have flexible payment options available for our moms. All I'm going to say is I need to see you at Momscape 2022. So, Attorney Danae, Dr. Regina, thank you. We're back. Let's just kick it off. Let's give our moms who may be going through a divorce, they have went through a divorce, they didn't feel like they had a support, whatever that looks like, whatever the journey may look like. What are some of the things that may have helped you? Danae, what are some of the things that you may have put out there that helped your clients? And let's just give some hope as they walk away from this episode.
Sure. So for me, I had a core support system. Really good friends who were there to listen, or maybe take my children for, a couple of hours, just so I could have some time to myself, or if I had to go to an appointment to meet with an attorney or what have you. So I think having a core group of people, not too many, because you don't need everybody in your business, but someone who's gonna be honest, who's gonna be supportive, and who's gonna listen, and just try to be there for you, because sometimes you need an outlet, you need someone to talk to. So I think having a core support system is very, very important. The other thing that I would say is get your financial affairs in order, because you're going from 2 incomes to 1 income. So if you have a lot of bills, or you're accustomed to living a certain lifestyle, you need to learn how to start to scale back, and try to pay off as much debt as you possibly can. I think that is crucial. The other piece that I don't think a lot of us think about, and this, I'm going to say, it's just in general, not even related to divorce or transitioning, but estate planning and life insurance. That's something that was always stressed. But I didn't think about the estate planning piece. The life insurance and all of that was in order. But just thinking about, now I'm the custodial parent, or I'm going to be the custodial parent. I need to think about how to put things in order just in case something happens to me. So I think those 3 things are very, very important as you're making that transition, or if you've already made that transition.
Yes, love it. And so I'm so glad that you mentioned the estate planning and all that, because Attorney Danae, she's one of our speakers at Momscape this year, and that is literally the subject that she's going to be covering, because like you said, not even to this subject, it's important for us all. So I love that. And then the other big piece that you said is that support system. Like, we need a support system even as a mom, but I can only imagine going through this situation, getting those trusted individuals, that, because you can have friends and you can have people in your support circle, and they'll pick your kids up from school and all that, but being able to have people that you can actually be vulnerable with during this time and season, and that you can completely trust with your entire heart. I can imagine that can be difficult, but I can imagine that it can be really important as well. So I'm glad that you mentioned that.
Absolutely.
Agreed. So before I talk about like from an attorney standpoint, I just kind of want to piggyback off Dr. Muhammad just very briefly. In that the key word is support system. So as an attorney, we sometimes have people relying on their support system who really is not a support system. And what I mean by that is they're not supporting your decisions and what you're wanting to do. And more so, they are trying to push their own thoughts or ideas on you, or what happened in their divorce case on you. And your case is not theirs. Your life is not theirs. Your children are not theirs. And so I think it's very important to focus on that word support and really think about like what the person is saying to you and how are they being supportive? Are they really being supportive? Just from what I see on the other side. Okay. And I think it's very interesting that you talked about financial affairs. I think back in October on my podcast, we talked about finances and getting those things in order is one of the things that you kind of should be doing. Because even though I practice domestic litigation, I'm very passionate about making sure that my clients have themselves set up from that financial standpoint, which is why at Momscape, I'll be talking about those financial pieces and estate planning things and all of that, because at the end of the day, you're going from this 2-income household sometimes to this 1-income household, or you've never worked before. Maybe you've been a stay-at-home mom, and now you've got to figure out, how do I run this household? How do I budget? How do I do all those things? I think it's very important. But one of the most important pieces, aside from all that, at least from a legal perspective, or your kids, is being able to co-parent. And I believe that that is going to get you a lot further in a lot of situations than some other things, right? Because you've got to have all the financial pieces in place. But if you and your ex-spouse or ex-boyfriend cannot co-parent, you're still not doing your kids any justice, right?
Yes.
Because there's conflict at every exchange, or you know that your kid has a performance going on or parent teacher conference, but you're not letting that other person know because you know it's going to cause high conflict. But if you all learn to co-parent, attend co-parent counseling, go to counseling for yourself, like Dr. Muhammad indicated that she did for her and her children, doing those things and making sure that you're doing the work to at least attempt a healthy relationship. Some people we just can't have a healthy relationship with, and it's not because of us, right? And we realize and recognize that it's because of them, because we've put in that work. And all you can do is just continue to move forward and utilize things. So Tramika was on my podcast. She was the first guest on my podcast back in May of last year. And we spoke about like different tips that she had for making sure that you can co-parent well, like joint calendars, co-parenting apps that exist, like Our Family Wizard or Talking Parents. Some are free, some are not. Some have tone meters where it can tell you your tone is just a little too off, ma'am.
Oh, wow.
Dial it back.
Yes.
Dial it back, retype, erase, delete. Just like if you send an email to your boss and you was like, I am so done with this job, but you had to think about it first because you didn't want to get fired. And you deleted a lot of things. It's the same type of thing. And so when you have those high conflict situations, you want to make sure that you're using something like that, so that, especially because in written form, things can come off in a way that you didn't intend for it to. And so really just making sure that you are attempting everything you can from a co-parenting perspective is, to me, one of the most important things as well.
Yeah,
and it avoids modifications later and contempts later. So definitely doing that.
Yes, I love
I
that
need
you
to
mentioned
second that.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I was going to say I have to second that because, and you mentioned it alleviates the potential of needing to do modifications later. Now, I told you I've been divorced. It'll be 9 years in November. I have court on Monday, the 28th. I feel like I've been in court since we've been divorced, but it's because of that. When you don't have someone who is not willing to co-parent. So I've used Talking Wizard, but apparently I'm the only one who accesses the app. But you can't co-parent alone. That's why it's co-parenting.
You cannot co-parent alone. You cannot co-parent alone.
No.
You can do what you want. Now that little app tells you that this message was sent. It was open.
Yes.
But it was never responded to. that makes you feel some type of way because I'm putting forth
It
all the effort and you're doing nothing. Like, how can I?
does.
That's
Yeah.
So
unfortunate
what
for
do
your
you
kids.
suggest in that situation? Do you suggest a mediator or
I think, you know what, a mediator, definitely, I would absolutely suggest that. But sometimes, unfortunately, well, you have to know who you're dealing with, the type of
Agreed.
individual that you're dealing with. And sometimes individuals only respond when the court tells them to do something,
Agreed.
unfortunately. And so if you have someone like that who chooses to run up bills and wants to have to pay attorney fees and additional fees after their children are 18, then sometimes you have to roll with it. But that is exhausting. It's very, very draining. So you do have to know who you're dealing with. But I do believe I've seen situations where folks are able to co-parent, but some people are just unwilling
Mhm.
because there's so much animosity or resentment because of a choice. If the divorce was not necessarily something that both parties wanted and one
Mhm.
person wanted it and the other person did not, I can see where you will have a situation such as my own, where you have a parent who is not willing to be cooperative because they know that that is something that's, that's the way to get under the other person's skin, so to speak.
And some people
But
can't afford it either. Like some
right,
people can't afford to go
that's
back
true.
to court over and over and over. And so
Right.
sometimes a simple letter from an attorney to the other person will get them to back off sometimes.
Yeah.
And then sometimes just like uploading the school calendar in advance or putting in the calendar this what is supposed to happen and doing the things that the other person does to you. So like if they miss a visit, you're putting in the co-parenting app or something that they missed the visit and here's why they missed the
Hmm.
visit. And you're showing them that you're not going to take certain things, you're going to document, you're going to notate, and whatever they do, that's cool. I'm going to work it out. You can't visit this week. Okay, great.
Hmm.
That's cool. And you're trying to do your best and you're ignoring. One thing I hear most common is they send me lots of text messages, they send me lots of emails, or they always send me messages on the co-parenting app and they know it's just to get underneath my skin. But you don't have to answer. There are certain
Right.
things, and the court is not going to hold you accountable for not answering somebody's like constant demands at something that's foolish, or someone's constantly just like sending you 8 million messages a day over nothing that you could have gotten on your own or that I've already given you, or that you're just trying to be nasty. Ignore it.
yeah.
Preserve your own, ignore it.
Hmm. Peace of mind is so important
It's
and priceless.
Ooh, yeah.
priceless. Priceless.
Yeah, you all well both of you all have said a mouthful. Like we started, off starting the beginning of the show, we're not pro divorce. I can see based on our conversation tonight how challenging it can be. But I think what I overall heard, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is just making sure that you show up and control what you can control. Like making sure
Yeah.
that you're the individual that's willing to communicate, like making sure that you're doing what you need to do on your end, and you can't necessarily control the other person. And so I think that's super super important. You all gave a lot of different tips and ideals on what moms can do who may be about to go into this journey or this season, who may currently be in it, or who are on the other side of it but they're still hurting and healing from it. I think and especially just the whole co-parent, that's a whole conversation or show in itself. So thank you
Hmm.
both so much for sitting down with me and talking about this subject. Before we go though, I have like a random question for you for the week. But I do want you, Dr. Gina, if you can share your podcast and your book, and then Attorney Danae, if you can share your podcast as well as your services for some moms who may be going through similar situations right now.
Oh, thank you. So I just want to say you were just on this past Tuesday, 2 days ago.
Yes.
My podcast is called Light It Up Podcast. It's LITE for Lead, Inspire, Transform, and Empower. It's a weekly podcast that comes that's available every Tuesday. It's on all streaming uh, platforms, including Facebook and YouTube. So you can always follow the podcast. And my book is Women Who Persevere, Navigating Motherhood with Power and Grace. And it's a story, a collection of stories of 6 single moms who talk about their journey of successfully raising children. And that book is available on my website at aginahmuhammad.com. That's AGINAHMUHAMMAD.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing.
I'm going to be looking that up. I love me a good podcast. It seems very interesting.
It is. It was so fun, very authentic. So yes, it was great.
I'm going to be following you after this show.
And I'm going to be following you too.
So I'm Danae Matthews. My podcast is Conversations with Danae, Your Family Law and Wellness Needs, where we kind of intertwine your normal domestic matters with like your everyday life and living type of situation. So like I indicated before, Tramika was on the show last May. We talked about motherhood. We've talked about financial planning. We talked life insurance last month. Next month, we're talking estate planning with a local attorney here in Atlanta. In April, we're going to have on someone who works for a big United States organization, a nonprofit organization. I don't want to give too much away about that, but he'll be talking more about like what we can look forward to for the summer for our kids and why it's important for our kids to be involved and invested in, activities, whether that's summer or otherwise. And so we kind of just talk about those day-to-day things because even though we're going through these situations, our life still moves on, right? Mm-hmm. So how do we like still encompass that and make it our best life? And that can be found on Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Google Podcasts, all those platforms. Not Apple Podcasts because I am not an Apple girl, and so I'm not putting my podcast is not on Apple. I am an Android girl, and so I don't do that. But lots of other places you can find it. Our website is www.dunmatthewsfirm.com. We're on all social media platforms at D Matthews Firm. And like I indicated before, we're a boutique law firm. We are a flat fee law firm, which is not a typical thing that you might see. And so our clients are not, on retainer basis, and we try to make sure that we are very mindful of their pockets. And so that's us. Feel free to follow us, like us, subscribe, all those things that my kids say I don't really know which one is which and what to say. So like, subscribe, follow, all those things on whichever platform that corresponds to.
Yes, get connected to these ladies. As you can see from tonight's episodes, they are a wealth of knowledge, experience, and information. So again, ladies, thank you so much for sitting down with me tonight and having this candid conversation about divorce and motherhood. And I hope to have you back on for other conversations. I would love that. I would love to sit back down with you.
That would be great.
So last question before we go. This is just our random question of the week. I want to know, what lesson is motherhood teaching you right now?
Grace, patience.
Yes.
Grace. That's good. Mm-hmm.
That look, you said it right there. I am learning how to parent myself. There you go. Because my youngest is me.
Oh, me too. You got that too? Oh my goodness. Yes. She's 6, but she is so me.
Mine will be 15 in 2 weeks.
I'm not ready.
Ooh.
I'm not ready.
Pray for me. So yes, Grace.
Pray for each other. So I will say same thing, grace and patience. But one of the things that you mentioned, similar to growing me up. Yeah. Like literally, I got to be a different type of person to raise a preteen, a teenager, and a young adult. Like it's literally growing me up, causing me to have a lot of personal development within myself. And so that's a lesson that I'm being taught right now. I'm going to run away. I already asked my husband. I talked about this last week. Where's the dropout line? I got my papers. When you go and you like ready to drop a class, where's the dropout line for parenting? I'm ready. Like I got my papers in my hand. I'm just joking.
See, I already said when mine gets to Dr. Muhammad's age, the 15, I might be gone. Well, you're going to be on your own with this one. Because
I'm gone right now. So I ran
Yes.
away.
Yes. Enjoy your trip. And for all the moms who may be having the same sentiments, run away with us in June to Momscape. That is the escape for moms. Yes.
It
Yeah.
is
I cannot wait. I wish it
amazing.
was like tomorrow. Yeah.
I wish it was tomorrow. Ooh, I wish it was tomorrow.
Yes. But ladies, thank you so much again. Thank you for everyone who watched live with us, for your comments. Latoya, you're always, that's one of our Mom Squad members. She's always on with us every single week. So shout out to you. We appreciate you. Thank you for all who are watching the replay. You all have a good night and have a great weekend. Enjoy your weekend.
Thank
Do something for you
you.
this weekend. Y'all have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.